Today, I want to remind you of something powerful. You were not made to simply get through the day. You were made to move with purpose. Every one of us is born with a why, a deep reason that guides us, fuels us, and keeps us grounded even when life doesn't go our way. But here's the truth. Even when we know our purpose, the journey isn't always easy. We face detours. We face delays. Sometimes we look at where we are and think, this isn't what I signed up for. But let me tell you something important. Just because it's taking time doesn't mean it's not happening. Delay is not denial. Leaders aren't those who have everything figured out. They're the ones who show up with consistency, with courage, and with belief, even when it's hard. Purpose isn't about being perfect. It's about staying faithful to the process. The most fulfilled people are not those with the most stuff. They're the ones who have discovered why they do what they do, and they've learned to stay committed even when the road gets tough. You don't have to be the loudest in the room. You don't have to prove yourself to everyone. You just need to believe in your mission. So wherever you are in your journey, if you're just starting, or if you're in the middle of a long night, know this: you're not behind, you're right on time. Keep showing up, keep believing, and most importantly, keep starting with why. Because when you lead with purpose and stay with hope, the world begins to change, not just around you, but because of you. One of the most fundamental truths we often forget is this: you are not here by accident. You weren't randomly placed on this planet just to exist, pay bills, and survive until the weekend. Deep within you is a unique combination of experiences, passions, and values that point to something greater, a reason for being, a purpose. And the moment you begin to understand that you have something specific to contribute, life stops being just about motion and starts being about meaning. Purpose isn't reserved for a special few. It's not only for CEOs, visionaries, or those with platforms and followers. Purpose is for the teacher who wakes up every morning to shape young minds. It's for the parent who sacrifices silently to build a better future for their children. It's for the artist who paints to bring beauty into a sometimes broken world. Whatever your role is today, it matters because people need what only you can give in the way only you can give it. But here's where many people get stuck. They confuse purpose with position. They think, if I'm not in charge, if I don't have a title, then I don't have a purpose. That couldn't be further from the truth. Purpose is not about where you are, it's about why you are there. You don't need a stage to make an impact. You just need intention. The most influential leaders are often the quiet ones who serve behind the scenes, driven by values, not visibility. Sometimes our purpose hides in plain sight. We go through routines, jobs, and relationships, wondering if this is all there is. But if we take time to step back and reflect on what lights us up, what breaks our heart, and what gives us peace, we start to see the threads that lead to our deeper why. Clarity comes not from chasing success, but from asking better questions about who we are and who we want to become. And yes, there will be seasons when your purpose feels distant, even invisible. You may look around and think, what difference am I really making? But purpose isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. It speaks in quiet consistency, in the everyday actions that seem small but shape the lives of those around you. Don't underestimate your influence, just because it isn't celebrated publicly. The truth is, people who live with purpose are different. They walk differently, they speak differently, they respond to challenges differently, they're anchored. They know what they stand for. They don't just show up to do a job. They show up to make a difference. And when adversity hits, they don't crumble because they built their life on something deeper than circumstances. They've built it on conviction. What's beautiful is that discovering your purpose doesn't require a drastic change. It often starts by aligning what you already do with why you do it. A nurse doesn't just treat illness, she restores hope. A builder doesn't just put up walls, he creates shelter. A business owner doesn't just sell a product, he solves a problem. Purpose transforms tasks into impact and roles into callings. When we understand that everyone has a purpose, including ourselves, it shifts how we see others too. We stop competing and start collaborating. We stop judging and start encouraging. Because once you realize that each person is part of something bigger, you no longer see life as a race to the top, but as a shared journey toward contribution. And that changes everything. One of the biggest myths we've been sold is that when you find your purpose, the path becomes smooth, that everything lines up, doors fly open, and life unfolds in a straight line. But that's not how meaningful journeys work. In truth, the moment you begin to pursue purpose, life often gets harder before it gets clearer. The road will twist, the map may blur, and your plans may not go according to schedule. And yet, none of this means you're off track. It means you're in the middle of becoming who you're meant to be. Detours aren't mistakes. They're part of the design. We learn more in the waiting than we do in the winning. We grow more in the delay than in the delivery. Think about any story of success that inspires you. Behind every highlight moment was a season of uncertainty, a chapter where things didn't add up. But that detour, though uncomfortable, was essential. Because it's often in the moments of confusion that our character is shaped and our resilience is formed. Too many people give up, not because they lack ability, but because the detour discouraged them. They say, it wasn't supposed to be this hard. But challenge doesn't mean you're off purpose. Sometimes it means you're getting stronger for the next step of the mission. When a plane hits turbulence, it doesn't mean the pilot made a wrong turn. It means they're flying. Don't mistake resistance for misdirection. Sometimes the turbulence is confirmation you're going the right way. Leaders who endure detours with patience and perspective often emerge stronger, clearer, and more empathetic. Why? Because when everything goes as planned, we rarely stop to examine why we're doing it in the first place. But in seasons of waiting or apparent setback, we're forced to dig deeper, to reconnect with the mission behind the motion. That kind of reflection doesn't just make you more effective, it makes you more human. We live in a culture obsessed with speed, but purpose operates on depth. You can climb the ladder fast and still feel empty if it's the wrong building. Detours force you to pause and ask, is this still aligned with who I am and where I'm going? That kind of self-check doesn't slow you down. It protects you from success without significance. Sometimes the detour saves you from getting to the wrong destination. And yet, it's in the detour that doubt creeps in. We begin to question our worth, our timing, even our identity. But here's the truth. You can be in a slow season. Purpose doesn't always shout. It often whispers through ordinary moments, quiet breakthroughs, and hidden work. You may not be where you thought you'd be, but you are being prepared for what you cannot yet see. When you shift your mindset and stop seeing detours as distractions, you begin to understand their divine purpose. They're not punishments, they're classrooms. Every delay has the potential to deepen your purpose if you let it teach you instead of frustrate you. Don't rush the lesson, don't waste the wait. The detour may be exactly where your greatest clarity will emerge, because at the end of the day, purpose is not just about getting somewhere, it's about who you become along the way. And who you become is most often forged not at the destination, but in the detour. That's where you build patience. That's where your convictions are tested. That's where trust grows stronger, faith runs deeper, and vision becomes more than an idea. It becomes a way of life. In our fast-paced world, delay feels like failure. When progress stalls, when the opportunity doesn't come through, when the dream seems paused, it's easy to assume something is wrong. But delay does not mean denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Sometimes the timing isn't broken. It's just being prepared. There's a difference between being delayed and being denied. And if you don't understand that difference, you'll give up too soon on things that are still unfolding. Our culture celebrates the overnight success, but what they don't show you is the years of hidden work that came before the suddenly. Every overnight success is backed by nights of uncertainty, by days of doubt, by months or years of waiting with faith. We don't like to talk about that part. But purpose requires patience. Timing matters, not just the what, but the when. And if the when isn't right, the what won't last. You may be doing the right thing in the right way, with the right heart, and still not see results yet. That doesn't mean you're off course. It may mean the foundation is still being laid. Delay often means something is being strengthened beneath the surface. Your mindset, your character, your discipline, so that when the opportunity arrives, you're not only ready for it, you're strong enough to sustain it. Many people walk away from their dream not because it was impossible, but because it didn't come on their timeline. They assumed the waiting meant a closed door, but in reality, the door was being prepared for them. Sometimes, the very thing you're waiting for is also waiting for you to grow into it. Imagine receiving what you've been praying for before you were mature enough to handle it. It would overwhelm you instead of elevate you. Think about a seed. It goes underground before it ever breaks the surface. There's no applause for what happens in the soil, no spotlight. But without that hidden season, there's no harvest. Your delay might feel like you're stuck, but in reality, you might just be planted. And when you're planted, the delay is not punishment, it's process, it's preparation. Roots grow before branches reach. It's in those delayed seasons that your faith, your leadership, and your resilience are forged. Anyone can be optimistic when things are going well, but it takes maturity to remain hopeful when nothing seems to be changing. It takes leadership to stay consistent when no one is clapping. Those who can hold their ground in delay are often the ones trusted with greater influence later on. The delay also tests your intention. Why are you doing this? Is it about quick results or lasting impact? Are you chasing attention or living out conviction? Delay filters out the noise and reveals your why. And if your why is strong enough, it will anchor you even when your plans are postponed. Purpose doesn't vanish just because progress slows. What matters most doesn't disappear in delay, it deepens. So if you're in a season right now where things aren't happening the way you expected, take heart. Delay is not denial. It could be alignment, it could be protection, it could be positioning. What feels like a no may just be a not yet. And the difference between giving up and growing through it is learning to trust that your purpose is still alive even when your plans are paused. Leadership isn't revealed in the good times, it's revealed in the hard times. When everything is smooth, it's easy to appear strong, composed, and confident. But true leadership shows itself when plans fall apart, when pressure rises, when the room is silent and people are looking for someone to step forward. It's in those moments that leaders are built, not just in titles or skills, but in spirit, in resilience, and in how they respond when the outcome is uncertain. Think about anyone who has truly inspired you. Chances are their story includes a season of struggle, a defining moment when they could have quit, stayed silent, or compromised, but didn't. That's where leadership is born. It doesn't emerge from comfort zones, it grows in the fire. Crisis is not the enemy of leadership. In many cases, it's the catalyst. It exposes what's real and strengthens what lasts. Hard moments do something that success rarely can. They force clarity. When everything gets stripped away, approval, applause, momentum, you find out what you really believe. You find out if your why was rooted in convenience or in conviction. Adversity challenges your motives. It asks, are you in this because it's popular or because it's purposeful? Real leaders answer that question not with words, but with action. Most people assume leaders need charisma or credentials. But in the toughest seasons, what people are really looking for is calm, courage, and consistency. They don't need someone with all the answers. They need someone who won't disappear when things get messy. When pressure comes, people remember who stood firm, who stayed present, who chose integrity over image. That's leadership. Not perfection, but presence. And let's be honest, leading in hard moments isn't glamorous. You might not get recognition. You may feel isolated. You'll make difficult calls that not everyone understands. But those decisions, made in the dark, shape the legacy that's seen in the light. Leadership isn't about being right all the time. It's about being responsible even when it's hard. It's about showing up when quitting would be easier. The hard moments are where emotional intelligence is developed. You learn how to remain grounded when others panic. You learn to speak with hope when people are discouraged. You learn to carry both the weight of responsibility and the voice of reassurance. And every time you lead through a storm, your confidence grows, not just in your ability, but in your identity. You begin to believe, I was made for this. What's remarkable is that hard moments don't just build you, they build those around you. Your calm becomes someone else's comfort. Your decision to stay in the game inspires someone else not to give up. Leadership in adversity creates a ripple effect. People don't always remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel when everything was uncertain. And when you lead with conviction during crisis, you model a kind of courage that multiplies. So the next time you find yourself in a difficult season, don't just ask, how do I get through this? Ask instead, who am I becoming because of this? That question reframes the struggle. Because leadership isn't about avoiding hard moments. It's about embracing them, growing through them, and allowing them to shape the kind of influence that lasts far beyond the challenge itself. So as we close today, let me remind you of something simple but life-changing. You were created with a purpose, and your presence on this earth is not random, it's intentional. The journey won't always make sense. The road won't always be straight. There will be delays, there will be detours, and there will be days where leadership feels lonely. But don't let the waiting make you forget the promise. Don't let the setback make you doubt the calling. You are being shaped, stretched, and strengthened, not just for success, but for significance. You don't need all the answers to make a difference. You just need to keep showing up with heart, with hope, and with a clear why. Because the world doesn't need more people chasing attention. It needs more people living with conviction. It needs you, right where you are, with what you have, leading in your lane. And when the pressure rises, when things don't go as planned, remember this: you are not being disqualified, you're being developed. These are the moments that build leaders. These are the chapters that shape your story. And the impact you're meant to have is often on the other side of the struggle you're willing to face. So stay in the process, trust the timing, lead with purpose. And no matter what season you're in, whether you're building, rebuilding, or waiting, know this: you're not behind, you're not forgotten, you're becoming. The world needs what only you can give. And your purpose? It's still unfolding. Stay faithful to it. Stay rooted in it. And watch what happens when you lead not from fear, but from vision.